Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you today? Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. And I will, let me see here. I have someone here with me, helping me right now. She's just kind of getting acclimated to everything. And okay, yes. Hello, Paula. Okay. I'm going to be talking about some things today that I think are very interesting around Blake Lively. We're going to have Zach Peter on today. We know he is an expert in all things around the Baldoni and Taylor Swift and Blake Lively. It's a hot mess, y'all. It's a hot mess that's going on. And then we're going to talk just a little bit about Harry and Meghan. I know that there's been a shift in America around Harry and Meghan and their approval rating here in America. And a lot of people just are not feeling them. And I think this is a very pivotal time for them. And I'm just going to give you some of my thoughts on that. But we're going to be talking about also Blake Lively, and I know that there's some things going on around the P Diddy case. I mean, let me know in the comments if you've been watching it because I've been watching a little bit of it, and it's a lot of drama. I cannot believe we are living in a time where these things have been happening. I mean, the things that this Cassie girl has had to go through, unbelievable. And then there were times where I'm thinking, are they really talking about things that are going to get him convicted, like around racketeering? There's a lot of things around the law, like it's very complicated where the jurors really have to do their job the right way because they are going to have to apply. I mean, I've been a juror before, and I know and you can't just willy-nilly think about, someone being guilty or not. You have to apply it so specifically to the law. It's very, very aligned with the how the law is written and what the courts are allowing to be considered as evidence, what is not considered. You have to throw out all of your own biases. It's one of those things where I don't know. There are times when I'm thinking that he will be convicted, times I'm thinking he won't be convicted. But yeah, there's a lot going on with that P Diddy situation right there. It is just absolutely crazy. So if you all want to support my channel and my lives on Thursdays, very much appreciated. I am living at a very interesting time around the work. You all know that I do run a charity, and I have been doing this since 2014, and we are doing some things right now that I don't know that we'll be able to continue doing into next year, but we've got some things that we're hoping that will work out. So I really do appreciate all the support and love you send my way, especially some of you who have actually reached out to me via my charity, which, that's fine. And I just really appreciate those that send good vibes my way because my whole thing has, as I've always said, has been about teachable moments and being able to look critically at someone's behavior and to make judgment on that to align it with critical thinking only because that's how you grow, that's how you become better. There's a student that I'm working with now, and just some things that she's done that it was hard for her to hear me say. But how does she become a better person if she doesn't hear me say the things that are difficult for her? Because she just doesn't know better. And so it's been tough for me a lot of times to have to really kind of talk that way and to really have her shape up and be better and work harder, and the importance of her school, because I have to go to court now because she hasn't been going to school. I have to go with her parent. She hasn't been logging in doing her schoolwork. So it's like, we have to make people be better. And when I look at all the things that are going on with Meghan and Harry, their downfall is coming. And if only they had listened. Megan talks about she doesn't listen to social media. Well, we know, first of all, yeah, you do. Yes, you do. Okay. Secondly, if listening, listen to what people are saying and try to be better. Because the way she's doing it, the way she's been going about it, This is not getting her anywhere. It is, I mean, I hope you all are enjoying the soap opera because, like I've said, it is the imitation of royal life. And this woman is giving us all a soap opera to watch. Because it's almost like, okay, like I always say, what else you gonna do now, Megan? What else you gonna do, girl? You gonna sell some jams? Oh, okay. Let's go see you try to sell some jams. We're gonna watch you sell your jams, okay? Because it's not gonna yield anything for you rewarding. And I don't mean to say it in the way that makes it sound mean, but that's the reality. Okay? That's just the reality. So yeah, come on now. Let's be better and do better. Okay. First, oh, thank you so much. So far, I've gotten some super stickers. Paula M, thank you. Click the like, beautiful people. She says, yes, 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 yes. Please click the like button. Thank you. Through the Looking Glass channel with Alice. Thank you for your super sticker. And thank you, Paula M, for your super sticker. All right. So, everyone, as you know, I have a special guest today. I'm going to be meeting with Zach Peter, and I just want to just kind of give you some little insight into Zach. So, um, Zach began hosting No Filter with Zach Peter, a pop culture and reality TV news podcast. Now, the show has been converted into a number of media publications as of October of 2022, has been featured on Bravo's Summer House, Vanderpump Rules, and The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Whoop, whoop. In May of 2018, Zach began hosting Adulting, a wellness and lifestyle podcast with model Nikki Sharp and fashion influencer Abigail Freyer. The show concluded in May of 2021. He's been with such guests as medical experts and also health and fitness leaders like trainer Jillian Michaels. We all remember her, right, from back in the day, and Bulletproof founder Dave Asprey, brain coach Jim Quick, and more. And in September of 2022, it was announced that Zach joined Spotify's The Ringer network, hosting podcasts for The Ringer Dish and The Ringer reality TV show. And I saw that it was one of the top Spotify podcasts. So everyone, please welcome to the stage, Zach Peter. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you
Thank you for having me.
you so much for being here. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. You know, we met one time when Paula had us both on her channel.
Yes.
Uh,
Love Paula.
yes, Paula is really a sweet woman, really is. So yeah, I'm so happy to have met you through her and to talk to you a little bit about what's been going on with some other things that we've been trying to catch up on around the Blake Lively and Taylor Swift. There was something I saw that you posted about um, there was some text messages that I guess Taylor Swift was trying to get from Blake Lively, or why don't you catch us up a little bit about what's been going on with that? A lot of drama.
A lot of drama. I mean, a lot of people have been wondering how involved was Taylor Swift in the It Ends With Us movie. Blake
Mhm,
Lively is suing Justin Baldoni, who is her co-star slash the director of the movie, claiming harassment. Now,
mhm,
he's denied that, and the way that she's kind of gone about the legalities has been very shady, right? She's leaking things to the New York Times. She's not
mm,
filing official lawsuits, but she's, filing other sorts of court documents. And so Baldoni was like, well, you claim, and as we see in a number of the interviews that she gave for It Ends With Us, that Taylor Swift was very involved in, you know, the making of It Ends With Us from Blake's side of things. And so
mhm,
everyone was wondering, are Taylor Swift's text messages going to be brought into this? What information does Taylor Swift have on Blake Lively? Then it
mhm.
most recently came out that I guess Taylor Swift's legal team was contacted by Blake Lively's, and they were threatening, because obviously we've seen that Blake has been in this legal mess since December. We're now
Mhm.
approaching June, and yet we haven't heard a thing from Taylor Swift. If they're best friends, they've been friends for 10 years. Taylor Swift is the godmother of Blake's children. You would think that someone like Taylor Swift would issue a statement of support for Blake
Right.
Lively. And so now we've learned that Blake Lively's team was threatening Taylor Swift and saying, if you don't issue a statement of support, Taylor Swift has 10 years of text messages between you guys, and she's willing to release them. She's willing to leak them publicly if Taylor Swift doesn't issue a statement of support. And as we know,
Wow.
Taylor has not issued a statement of support. So Taylor put her heels down and she said, I'm not going to publicly support you. No, that's not happening. And so I guess somehow Brian Friedman, who's Justin Baldoni's attorney, got tipped off about that. So they've now accused Blake Lively of witness tampering and evidence spoliation. And so they subpoenaed Taylor Swift. And it appears that Justin Baldoni's team and Taylor Swift's team have come to some sort of agreement because now Baldoni's team has withdrawn their subpoena and Taylor Swift has provided evidence that may likely end up blowing up in Blake's face that will show that they were trying to extort Taylor Swift.
Wow, that is crazy. Like, so
Crazy.
what could happen? Like, how much trouble could this mean for Blake Lively? Is that pretty serious in terms of the courts?
I mean, yeah, her attorney can be sanctioned. Her attorney can obviously face really strong penalties. Extortion is not taken lightly. Even though this is a civil case, I would imagine there could be criminal charges that could result from this. Obviously, witness tampering and evidence spoliation do not look good in front of a jury. So, should this get to trial, I think this really hurt. I think at best, this hurts Blake's case. At worst, there are criminal charges that could be filed and it could really blow up in her face.
Wow. So someone's asking, could she go to jail? Like, is there any possibility of any jail time?
I mean, I think that would be a really extreme case, but I mean, it's definitely when you break the law and you are charged, that is
Mm-hmm.
something, jail time is a possibility. I don't know if it'll get that far. I think Blake will at some point realize my dragons blown the fire back at me and I need to just kind of simmer down and just stop
Mm-hmm.
making so many waves. It's going to be interesting to see how Blake and Ryan play this move next because it's
Mm-hmm.
really showing their hand.
It really is. Now, I never knew much about Blake Lively, but then when I started looking and watching some past interviews with her and, just her attitude and how she is like very like a girl vibe,
Yeah.
I started to see similarities between like Megan. So tell us just a little bit about Blake Lively, like a little bit of her background and why I think people really just don't really feel kind towards her.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the 2 movies she was most known for at the start of her career were, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants and
Okay.
Gossip Girl. Gossip Girl
Okay.
was, I think, her biggest role, and so that's what people know her most from. From there, she went on to star in The Green Lantern, which co-starred Ryan Reynolds, and that's really spicy because she was dating Penn Badgley and Ryan Reynolds was married to Scarlett Johansson. Then
Mm-hmm.
suddenly they play love interests in the Green Lantern. And next thing you know
Mhm.
it, by the end of the year, Blake breaks up with Penn Badgley. Ryan Reynolds files for divorce from Scarlett Johansson. And then a year later, they're publicly coming out with their relationship. So it kind of seems like the affair may have started on set. Neither of them
Right.
have owned up to that, but it's the timing of it all just seems super suspect. And so they've been together ever since then. She's done a number of other movies. The Age of Adeline was another big one of hers. Another
Mhm.
a Simple Favor with Anna Kendrick. We just had the
Yes.
sequel to that came out. Another Simple Favor.
It's on
So
Hulu now, isn't it?
it's
It's
on Amazon Prime
Oh, it's
Video.
Amazon Prime. Okay, but the
Yeah,
original one is on Netflix.
the original one came out in theaters, but yeah, it is on
It's
Netflix
it's on
now.
Netflix.
And
Yeah.
then the sequel, I believe, was supposed to go out in theaters, but it ultimately ended up being an Amazon Prime release.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, and
Oh
it
my
was
goodness. Was it good?
crazy. It wasn't as bad as I think people were hating on the movie because they hate her right now. Whereas I
Mhm.
think had she just not launched this legal battle, I think this movie would have come out, people would have liked the movie, and like they would have forgotten that she's been this big diva in Hollywood. Because I mean, all it takes is for you to have one good role where you're funny or you're charismatic or you have a really good job and then the audience loves you, right? Because they
Right.
loved your movie. And I think in this case, I think she could have won people over because there have been rumors for years that she's had, you know, uh, issues with co-stars. She's been difficult behind the scenes. And the more we
Mhm.
dig into Blake Lively's past, the more we realize she is kind of a mean girl in Hollywood and has been for years.
Yeah. I mean, I am starting to feel like I really don't really want to like her. I'm sorry. I'm just being honest because I just feel like when I saw her be mean to that one journalist
Oh,
about
yeah.
having her baby, like asking if she was pregnant or something, and I mean, it's just so unnecessary, especially when you have so much. Like, why be mean? And why be mean anyway? But especially with like you have everything. I mean, you done stole Scarlett's man,
Yeah.
you know, and just a heads up on that. This is how I feel about it. When you steal someone's man, that relationship never works out. I think this is going to be what's going to be the downfall of their relationship
Yeah.
because you can't live a happy forever after when I don't think anyway. At least I think I might be proven wrong with Charles and Camilla, but usually you can't. That's just
Well
not good mojo or however they
Well,
say it.
I think that was part of the issue on this movie, It Ends With Us, with Justin Baldoni. I think
Yeah.
we've seen that Blake has a history of this. I mean, she dated Penn Badgley, who was her love interest on Gossip Girl. So it seems that she has a pattern for falling for her love interest. I believe that there were rumors about this on the set of Age of Adeline as well. So it seems like every time
Mm,
she has a love interest, she develops a bit of a crush. And I think this time around, she may have developed a crush on Justin Baldoni. Ryan Reynolds found out about it and is like, I already know how you operate. You know, you
mm-hmm.
got me and I know. And then because suddenly Ryan Reynolds became very, even though he wasn't in the movie, he's not a producer, he became very involved in the movie and
Yeah.
very involved in the promotion. So much so that Ryan's company came to do all of the marketing for It Ends With Us, which was just random. Like, why would your husband suddenly insert himself and then do all of the marketing and then appear on all the red carpets? I mean, it's one thing to support your wife, but it's another thing to embed yourself that heavily into a film that you're not a
Right.
part of. So I think he was picking up on some energy between Blake and Justin Baldoni, and I think he felt threatened, and that's why he tried to shove his weight into the movie as well.
Wow, yeah, so I think, yeah, she was feeling something for Justin,
Yeah.
right? And she was, I think she got caught up and she tried to have an excuse, to blame him for something because she didn't want to, have it come out that she really like went too far or fell for this guy. I mean, what
Well,
do you think? Like,
yeah, well, there was even a text message that we saw of Blake's to Justin Baldoni where she was talking about her character Lily Bloom and obviously her character and Justin Baldoni's character Ryle, they play love interests in the movie. And she was saying, I think my character, I like when characters have like fun banter. And she's like, me, I'm such a ball buster, but don't worry, I never with teeth. It's like when you're calling yourself a ball buster and saying never with teeth to a
yeah,
man, like you're
yeah.
flirty. She's like, "I just love yummy banter." And so now people,
Mm.
like, "You love yummy banter, you're a ball buster, never with teeth, and you're texting this to this man who's
Right.
also married, by the way." And then
Exactly.
she's like, she's like, um, I've made some edits to the character. I could show you when we're in person, or I can act it out for you right now. And people are like, what do you mean you're going to act it out for him right now? Like, what are you doing? And then his response was, sorry, I responded so late. I was with my wife and kids. I was crying my eyes out because they're going out of town and I'm not going to see them for a while.
Oh my
So he's like
God.
reminding her I have a wife and kids, and she's just like, I don't use teeth. Wink, wink.
I can just that girl is scandalous, man. Scandalous. Terrible. Well, we'll see what happens. I'm really
Yeah.
excited to know what's gonna come out of it. What are your thoughts about Meghan and Harry in generally?
Oof. I call them the royal refugees that we say it here in the United States. They're the royal
Yes.
refugees. They needed to seek asylum in Tyler Perry's mansion. And now
Yes.
they live a very quiet and quaint life in Montecito for Netflix cameras.
Yeah, for
So
Netflix.
the two of them are something else. I think Megan, there have been enough rumors about her to not think that there's some truth to them. And I just think Harry's gullible. I think he has
Mhm.
mommy issues. I think he's using Megan to work out his mommy issues, and he kind of likes that she's probably controlling.
He probably does, but I think at some point he's going to get tired of it because I mean, what man really wants to put up with a woman nagging at him? Like, I mean, it doesn't seem like a bit much to have
No.
to always do what she wants. And it seems like at some point you would get sick of that.
You would think. I mean, but some guys, they like that. They want somebody to tell them what to do, and they if they're not working out those mommy issues, he may just like that there's someone that can tell him what to do like a child. He may be, you know, into that. I don't know. I don't
Whoa.
know if he can do that for I wouldn't wanna do that forever. I wouldn't wanna date someone like Megan who's that controlling and that, in need of controlling the narrative at all time, but
Yeah, yeah,
I
that is just I don't know. Paula, so Paula M, she was saying that she said she could be gentle, no teeth, Blake. Oh my goodness, LOL. What? Paula, you a hot mess, girl. You a hot mess. Okay, so now what do you think's getting ready to happen? I know there's a lot going on also with P. Diddy. Have you been following that as well?
Mhm. I've been following that. I saw Cassie testified. I saw now we have Kid Cudi testifying.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
It's
let's before you go into that, because I did hear about Kid Cudi's what he said on the stand. Just if you could just kind of give some people, because I don't know how many people on my channel really are following yet. I want to kind of give some updates here and there about it. What do you know about the P Diddy case?
yeah, so I know that they have charges of racketeering, trafficking, and then I believe it's moving prostitutes over state lines. Those are the three
Okay.
biggest charges against him right now. The interesting thing is, it's hard because this isn't like Amber Heard and Johnny Depp or the Gwyneth Paltrow trial or the trials that were televised, where we were
Yeah.
able to watch it all play out, or Karen Reed right now. That's the big one right now that everyone's watching live online. And so the hard part with the Diddy case is that cameras aren't allowed in the courtroom. So all we're getting are court transcripts. So we're kind of
Yeah.
making up our own context from there. And we're getting just what's being reported from the reporters that are in the courtroom. They can't
Mm-hmm.
film anything. They can't really report live aside from the breaks when they're able to get on their phone. So it's hard to follow it entirely.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I have seen and covered of it, I haven't been fully convinced that they're gonna get a conviction with
Really, I
him.
was thinking that too.
Yeah, I just feel like the evidence that they've or at least the case that they've presented so far, like if this were a case of DV, right? If it was about the physical violence against Cassie, or if this were a case of possession charges, right? Those are easy cases that I feel like they've proven. But the big thing that they're going for right now is trafficking and racketeering. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in order to prove those, now that we're seeing Kid Cudi come in, I'm hoping that they're going to kind of try to provide some additional details. But it's like right now they're kind of trying his character and trying his kinks rather than
Mm-hmm.
trying the crimes that they can prove that he committed. It
Yeah.
seemed like as reckless as he was also mindful of keeping his hands clean. But I mean, the Cassie testimony I think was really damning. But I think the defense did a really good job of cross-examining her and kind of making it seem like she wasn't the most credible witness because it seemed like she was equally engaging in a lot of this behavior with him. Now, personally, I believe that Cassie is a victim and that, we've seen the video of him assaulting her. We've seen a number of, pieces of things that he's done to Cassie over the years that maybe at some point she was complicit and willing to work with him and participate in these freak offs. But I feel like at some point she was afraid of him. And his mom, or sorry, Cassie's mom testified this week,
Mm-hmm.
and she went on the stand saying that Diddy made her pay $20,000. And people are like, what? Why? And it was because Diddy found out that Cassie was dating Kid Cudi, and so Diddy went and threatened. He said, I'm going to release sex tapes of Cassie if you don't give me back all the money that I spent on her. So the mom had to take out a home equity loan. She paid Diddy the $20,000 because she said that she was afraid for her daughter's life. So that to me is a very clear case of extortion and bribery, right? He's threatening to
Yeah.
release tapes of her, he's demanding money. And also like, oh, you want your money back, like that's crazy. Like you can't just be like, I spent like wouldn't we all want to do that, right? We wasted our
Right.
time on somebody and be like, no, now I want all my money back because I wasted my time on your ass. So I
Right.
think we would all want to do that, but he did, and he bullied the mom and threatened Cassie's life and threatened Kid Cudi's life. He also threatened to blow up Kid Cudi's car, and then suddenly Kid Cudi's car does end up getting lit on fire. And so that's what we saw in court today.
Yeah.
Was we saw the photos of the car, we saw Kid Cudi testifying about the threats that Diddy was making towards them. It's Crazy.
But could they can they actually show that Diddy was connected to that happening?
So that's the hard part. And so Diddy, in his threats to Kid Cudi, was saying, you know, I will hurt you, but it won't, or you'll get hurt, but it won't come from me. And
Mm,
so it's like, well, there's a threat, and a threat is one thing, but then you have to prove that he carried out that threat. That's the part that's
right.
really hard that I'm concerned with when it comes to convincing the jury and having them, you know, convict Diddy. I want him convicted. I think he belongs in prison, but it's
Mhm.
whether or not the jury is going to sway that way and whether or not the prosecution can lay out enough of a case to sway the jury. And again, the hard
Mm.
part is we're watching this from the outside and looking at the transcripts rather than seeing, like, we can't see the jury's faces, right? We can't
Right.
see what these testimonies are actually like. So I feel like that's the challenge where, you know, if this were being broadcast somewhere, I feel like we would get a better pulse on how this could potentially go.
Yeah, so this I think opens up the picture because you're in Los Angeles, right? You're in
Mhm.
LA. So, and I lived in LA for 10 years. I was an actor and I saw a lot of things when I was there. When I was young, okay, let me just tell you, Zach, it was like no one warned me. No one warned me about the predators when I went to LA. I was a naive young girl and I just could not get away from people just always trying to take advantage of you. It was a
Yeah.
constant. And I think this is opening up, I think, the eyes of the music industry,
Yep.
Hollywood in general. How do you see this case possibly affecting the industry? I mean, are there other celebrities that could be attached to this? Could this mean in the future, people that are in the industry, regulations around, I mean, hiring people? I mean, it could change a lot of things. Do you see it changing the industry at all?
Um, I want to believe that it can, but also at the same time, you have to remember Diddy got away with this stuff because there were powerful people protecting him. And those powerful people are hiding in the shadows right now. And I
Mhm.
think that they're going to continue to try and distance him. Here's the only way it changes is if
Mhm.
Diddy, and this is where he kind of becomes our saving grace, is if he starts turning on people and does the Taylor Swift thing and starts throwing people under the bus to protect himself. If he does that, then we put the black light on Hollywood and we show, you know, what really goes on. You've seen it. I've seen it. I grew up in Los Angeles. I was born here. I think the
Mhm.
Blake Lively case right now is doing a really good job of that because we're seeing how the media protected her. We're seeing how the New York Times, which is supposed to
Yep.
be this prestigious outlet, you know, seemingly worked with her to take down Justin Baldoni, who the more we learn about him, the more you see that he just seems like a really nice dude that they
Yeah.
thought that they could destroy, right? And so much so that the press, they tried to dig up dirt on him. And the worst thing that they were able to find on Justin Baldoni is that his work environment, it had too much toxic positivity. That's the worst that they found on Justin Baldoni is he was too nice. He was too toxically positive. And whereas like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, people have been able to dig up all of this dirt on the two of them and their hostile work environments and how
Mm.
difficult they've been to work with. But it's showing us how publicists and the press, they're all going to protect each other. You know, powerhouse agencies like WME, you know, they got caught coming out saying that that they fired Justin Baldoni out of loyalty to Blake and Ryan, which again, it shows you how much these big players, even though you don't always know their names, they have all of this power behind the scenes. So I think the Lively versus Baldoni case is doing a really good job of exposing Hollywood. I'm hoping Diddy does speak out because listen, if Diddy had tapes on Cassie, you know
Mhm.
that there are a lot of people went to those Diddy parties. There are a lot of big players that I'm sure he has tapes on. And
Yep.
I would imagine that Homeland Security is behind the scenes working through that list of names that they have with people that were working with Diddy or helping Diddy or knew what he was doing and turned the other cheek. So I'm
Mhm.
hoping that there's more that comes out of this Diddy case.
Wow. So what do you think? Okay, I'm gonna ask you about a few celebrities that I've heard. I'm wondering if you might know. What about J Lo? Have you heard anything about her?
I think she has a great team that's trying to keep her as clean as possible. There's no way J-Lo doesn't know anything about Diddy and what he was doing. There's
Yeah.
no way.
Right. But isn't she going to be called, you think, to
I don't
testify?
I don't think so. I don't
No?
know. Well, no, I don't think so. I think if she was going to, we would have heard by now. Um, but all we've
Wow.
gotten, so, and this is why it's hard. You need a J Lo to come in court to really blow this lid off. I mean, they wouldn't even bring in Aubrey O'Day. Now, granted, Aubrey O'Day, from what I hear, a lot of her testimony would have been hearsay, so it wouldn't have really been admissible. But we got Cassie. I felt like that was pretty compelling, but more so compelling to, show us that Diddy's really kinky and freaky and
Mhm.
sadistic more than he's, aside from, again, the possession charges, which he's not being charged with possession, or DV charges, which he's not being charged with any sort of domestic violence. So I don't know,
Yeah.
but I think J Lo absolutely should be called. She knows something, but her team and her attorneys are going to fight as hard as they can to keep her out of this.
They're doing a good job because I haven't heard anything about J-Lo in
No.
this case. That is crazy. What about Leonardo DiCaprio?
I mean, listen, there have been rumors about him in Hollywood for a very long time. Um, Listen, I think once one starts to fall, we're seeing that Blake and Ryan Reynolds start to fall. We're seeing Diddy start to fall. So I would imagine, I think people right now are ready for this, expose this explosive reveal of Hollywood and what all of these powerful players are, right? I mean, what happened to
Mhm.
Justin Bieber? Like, that's a big question that a lot of people want to know. He's denied
Right.
anything to do with Diddy. And I think right now we just kind of have to take his word at face value. But like, something happened to him,
Wait a
right?
minute. That's
The
what's gonna say.
usher,
Something has happened to yeah,
Justin, yeah.
Justin. I mean,
Usher,
look, yes. And so they're not coming out and saying anything happened to them.
no,
Like I think they may be embarrassed. I think
maybe.
they may feel like they don't want people to know that they have been maybe violated.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of seems like Justin's in a bit of a downward spiral. I think um Yeah, I don't think he wants, listen, because you also have to imagine he's marketable, right? A lot of these people, like, they're no
Mhm.
longer people, they're enterprises. So
Yeah,
the Justin Bieber enterprise, if new music is coming, the last thing they wanna do is victimize them in some way
exactly.
that then, people will then start to look at him like Corey Feldman. And
Yeah,
not that Corey Feldman isn't a victim, but, look at how Hollywood has painted Corey as this cuckoo, crazy, it's like
yeah,
Hollywood makes you that victim. It's like it kind of just takes away the credibility that you have as a celebrity to
yeah.
be marketable to a mainstream audience? So
Wow.
I think there are probably people around him. I mean, something happened to Justin, whether it was with Diddy or somebody else, like something happened to Justin. You can see that he's struggling and battling with something internally.
Yeah, he definitely is. I love that song he wrote about that a Christian song that he wrote. Do you know what I'm talking about? I can't remember the name of it, but when I heard it, it was so beautiful. I thought, wow, he really, I mean, that was from the heart, that
Yeah.
song. Yeah. So my dear friend Michelle, 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you, Michelle, is saying I don't believe that Cassie is entirely innocent. Okay, and I think that can
Well,
be part of it as well because she did have some involvement. They did, like you were
yeah.
saying earlier, try to bring her like she's not completely innocent. I mean, what do
Yeah.
you think
I
about
mean,
that?
that's the hard part, is it's very obvious that there were times and periods where she was fully complicit, and, this is where, not that I wanna give any brownie points to Diddy's defense team, but they did a really good job in their cross-examination of showing text messages where,
Mhm.
Cassie, is saying that, she's ready for the next freak off, and Diddy's like, "You pick the time, you pick the place, time and place, and whatever you want." And she's like, okay. And then she makes
Yeah.
suggestions, or, they made it seem like he never forced her to do any substances, but she was
Mhm.
willing, he made them available and she was willingly participating in them on her own accord. Or
Yeah.
there were text messages where, she said that she was so out of it during one of the freak offs, and he responds to her and he's just like, well, that's not a real freak off. It's not a freak off if you're out of it and you're not aware of what's going on. It's
Mm.
only fun if you're present. So let's do it again when you're present. So to me, those are text messages that are showing that he doesn't want her drugged during these freak offs. He doesn't want her, to be zoned out. He wants her to be engaging and participating. And then you see the text messages where she's asking for more freak offs. And I think that, makes
Yeah.
it look really challenging. challenging. Now, also to be fair, there's like the Stockholm syndrome argument of like sometimes you do fall in love with your abuser and sometimes you don't know any different and all you do is know how to please. And so I
Mhm.
think that's something that can be factored into it as well. But
Yeah,
I
yeah, it's
think,
very, very interesting. Yeah, how I did hear about that. And that's when I thought I started getting a lot of doubts about a lot of this. It
yeah,
just seems like, yeah, she's probably not as innocent, but she has gone through a lot. And
yeah.
it's just really sad that young girls that get caught up into this. Now, you were also seeing some other high profile people like that are in the shadows. Who do you think could be in the shadows, Zach?
I mean, I think Usher is somebody that has a lot of information. J-Lo is somebody that has a lot of information. I think maybe that's part of the reason her and Ben Affleck's marriage didn't work is because he was
Mhm.
like, "Listen, yeah, I mean, Paula's saying Kris Jenner, something's up with the Kardashians." And I think Kris Jenner
Yeah,
knows something. Um, the Kardashians know something. It's
because they weren't they always hanging out with him, going to his parties? I heard someone say something about Kylie may have even been with
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Diddy.
There was, so Megan Kelly on her podcast, maybe about around 2 weeks ago, came out and said that she was at the Met Gala one year and that she saw all of the Kardashians in the bathroom with Diddy and that one of them was dry humping Diddy. And so I went and I looked, I was like, what years? And Megan Kelly was only at the Met Gala 2 years, 2016 and 2017.
Mhm.
And Diddy was only at the Met Gala one of those years, and that was in 2017. So I was like, okay, so let's narrow this down to 2017. Which
Yep.
Kardashians were there? Kris wasn't there in 2017. Khloe and Courtney were not there in 2017, but Kim, Kylie, and Kendall were there. Now, Kendall was dating ASAP Rocky. Kim was married to Kanye, which only leaves Kylie that would be, the one that would be single at the time. So if one of them's gonna, I mean, it could any of them could have done anything with Diddy, but Kylie, she was 20 years old or 19 years old at that time. So it kind of seems like Diddy had some sort of something with Kylie
With
then.
Kylie.
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah, I saw you did a video on that. That was a great breakdown. I mean, like deductive reasoning. Like, okay, we're gonna scratch out possibly this person.
yeah,
This person was married. Like, that was great research. I
yeah.
mean, you just never know because Hollywood can be so shady. And I think more people need to be busted for the things that they have done because then you're giving consent to all this bad behavior when
Yeah.
nothing happens to these people. Because I think perhaps maybe Diddy might come out and say, okay, give me a break. I'm going to out some more
I
people.
think that's what's gonna happen. I think Diddy is somebody from what we've seen so far with a really big ego. We've seen how he tried to threaten Cassie, tried to threaten Kid Cudi.
Yep,
Aubrey O'Day's had stories about things that she's heard from people close to Diddy. So I think he's not going down without a fight. He's likely gonna go down, but he's gonna go down pulling names. I think Jay-Z and Beyonce, or maybe not even Beyonce, but Jay-Z for sure, I think
for
is involved.
sure.
He's got to be involved in some of this. I think Kris Jenner, something I think you also see how all of the Kardashians have their own churches, which is a way for them to allegedly possibly funnel some money, or at least
Yes.
move money around. And I think with all of these churches, with all these, companies and whatnot, I think there's some money that was moved around that may have gotten mixed in with some Jay-Z or Diddy money that is I think that paper trail is gonna expose a lot of people.
Yeah, so do you think that could come out during this trial? Like, could that be a possibility through this?
No, I think if and when Diddy goes down, that's when the other names are gonna start to drop. I think at that point, he's gonna really just start calling people out.
Okay, how do you feel
I
in
think he's gonna
general?
burn it all to the ground.
Really? Wow, that's really interesting. I'm intrigued by that
Because
because I
think about
think
it,
it
if
has
he's gonna go
to.
down for this, and I'm sure he's not the only one involved in all of this, so he's
Uh-huh.
gonna be like, "Listen, if this is all gonna be pinned onto me, and none of
Right.
you guys are gonna come out to defend me, then I'm gonna start calling each and every one of you out." And I'm sure he's gonna turn everything over to the feds because he's petty like that. Anybody that calls up someone's mom and says, "Hey, you
Yes.
owe me 20K because that's what I spent on your daughter, and now she wants to go date this other dude," pay up Anybody that's
Right.
that petty is gonna start naming names soon.
Yeah. So at what point does that happen? Because doesn't he have to make a decision about whether or not he's going to out these people before they go to convict or to say what the verdict is? Like how would that
I
work?
mean, we're already at trial. It's too far for him to cut a deal at this
Right.
point, so
Because I
he
think they
kinda just
offered
has
him a
to ride it
deal,
out.
didn't they?
Um,
Before, I think they gave him 15 years and then everything would be dropped, is what I heard.
yeah, I don't know why he didn't pick a deal or
Yeah,
why he chose to go forward with this trial, but, maybe it's his arrogance that makes him think that he could get away with this. Maybe his legal team was convincing him that they can get him off. I don't know, but I think at some point he's gonna flip.
he's going to flip. So we have to kind of wait as the trial progresses to
Yeah,
see
we
if
have
that would happen.
it'll be over soon. We got a couple weeks left. I'm
Wow.
hoping that the Kid Cudi testimony, as that continues, ultimately, really helps prove that he was acting out on some of these threats that he was making, and we'll see where it goes.
Now, acting out on these threats, would that be part of what they're charging him with that
Yeah.
could get him in trouble? So, but at the same time, he did say a lot of times he kept his hands clean. So that might be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, well, that's the hard part. So we'll see what they're able to actually prove. Because again, him making threats and him acting out on those threats are two very
Mhm.
different things.
Mm.
So we'll have to see if they're able to prove that, or at least convince the jury of that so that they can get the conviction.
Now, you mentioned Jay-Z, right? Jay-Z. I think Jay-Z definitely would have a hand probably in it because wasn't he a partner, a business partner to Diddy? Like,
Yeah.
how close is their relationship?
My understanding is they were very close. And not only that, but you've also had Kanye for years talking about Jay-Z and Diddy and what he knows about the dirt that he has on them, specifically about Diddy. So I feel like they did I feel like Jay-Z is going to be the next one to go down.
Wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. But didn't Jay-Z manage to get Jaguar right? Her allegations kicked off of Piers Morgan. Like he must be doing something behind the
That's
scenes
why
because I'm surprised.
he's got power. He's doing something.
Wow. So possibly nothing will ever come of that.
We'll
I
see.
mean, I
I think
find it if nothing ever comes of it, I just think they're just going to take Diddy and that's where it's going to all end. It's never going to see the light of day to these other people who have powerful enough attorneys to keep them out of this whole drama with Diddy.
well, but
Unless
like
he flips, right? And
yeah, I think though, but we had Epstein and now we have Diddy. And I think, these people were able to stay clean for so long. And now, I mean, I think especially with the power of social media, like now people are able to dig and have conversations. Whereas like before, and as we saw exposed with Blake Lively, the high profile celebs were able to just have their powerful publicists control the media and
right.
plant stories, and now that doesn't work anymore. Now they're shows like yours, this YouTube
Yeah.
channel where we can talk about these things freely and people can go and dig up their own, where someone like me can go and find out which Kardashian was in the bathroom with Diddy based off of
Mhm.
all of the information that's out there, and then I can present that publicly and people can take that information and obviously take all that info with a grain of salt. But now I think people have so much more access to information that you can't really
Mhm.
hide in the shadows anymore. The
And
smoke
that's
and mirrors game is done.
absolutely, and this is where I think Meghan Markle, this is how I look at her as not being able to really have the kind of career that she thought maybe 10 years ago she
Yeah.
could have because she could have set the tone in People magazine and put things out there to make people see things a certain way, but in this day and age with social media she cannot just be in the shadows and try to make herself appear one way.
Yeah.
We
Like
can
the
see all
Oprah
the things
interview.
she's doing. Exactly.
The
It's
Oprah
just
interview, I think they thought that that was going to be their big break, that that was going to get everybody to fall in love with them. And at the end of the day, all it did was turn people on them because then people started to look at her, the lies that she was telling, you know?
absolutely. What do you think of Oprah and that whole interview thing? Like where were you in all of this? I don't Were you talking about it back then?
I
Or
was fall I mean, I very loosely knew about Meghan Markle because, again, she
Mhm.
was in the UK and that was all UK press. And all I heard of her here in the US was more of just like, oh my God, our girl's there. We got an American in the
Mhm.
palace, and
Yep.
we're pushing forward. It's no longer just the royals. We have Meghan Markle in the royal palace. And
Yeah.
now it's different. Now I think people are really seeing through her. So when I saw the Oprah interview, I remember Pierce Morgan calling her out, and I didn't understand why at the time, but obviously he's British. He knew a lot more about the royal family and Harry, and so he had
Mhm.
critiques of Meghan, and that was the first time I'd seen someone really publicly call out Meghan Markle. And I was like, oh. And then I saw Sharon Osbourne kind of defend Pierce Morgan because everybody turned on him when he was critical of Meghan Markle. And that's when
Mhm.
I was like, hold on, let's take a step back. And I started to watch her interview and listen to what the things that she would do. And it's not that she would make these blatant allegations, but her and Harry have a really good job, or more so her, because Harry kind of just follows her lead from what I've observed. She alludes to things and she kind of
Yes.
plants little seeds so that you can come to a conclusion. And
Yep.
then she's like, well, I didn't say that.
Right,
I
right.
didn't make those allegations. I didn't say that. That was your interpretation of it. And when I saw them start to do that, I was like, oh, that is high
Yep.
level gaslighting and that's media manipulation. And I think that they thought that Oprah was going to be the interview to do it. And I thought that them, especially making, the racism the big forefront of their argument at the time when it was, we were in 2020 when that was the social issue of the moment, that
Yep.
it just felt like they were trying to play every card that they could to gain as much sympathy as they could. And it just made me question her motives.
So you saw it after you saw her actions. And I
Yeah.
think that's what people need to understand. People are not just not liking this woman just because. People are looking at her actions, the things she has done to the royal family, and making a decision on whether or not they approve or not by how they feel about this woman. Had you ever really looked at the royal family like William and Catherine and the others? Was that ever on your radar as an American?
Not really until recently, and then I read, Tom Bower's Revenge, and then I started to become more
Hmm.
interested in Princess Diana, and then I begrudgingly read Harry's, I call him Harry Markle. I read Harry's book Spare,
Mhm.
and I started to learn more about the royal family, or even, like, recently on Meghan's Netflix show where she's like, "I'm Meghan Sussex now," and I was like, well, what is her legal name and what does that mean? And why is
Right.
she using Sussex? And what is her official title? And what does the
Mhm.
HRH mean? And all of that
Mhm.
stuff. And so, I've learned a lot more about the royal culture,
Mhm.
and the monarchy now than, before it was very foreign to me.
So where do you see it heading with Megan? Where do you think the end game is going to be? Is there going to be an end game? Is she going to find success?
No, no. Because we've seen, like, she tried to do archetypes and that blew up, and then she tried to do her special with Harry and that blew up, and now she's doing With Love Megan and Confessions of a Female Founder. And I
Mhm.
think those are gonna flop. And every team that she gets to work with, which I don't know why every team is so astronomically huge, but every team that works with her eventually ends up turning on her and talking about what a nightmare she is to work with. So I think
Mhm.
she's gonna ultimately blow through all of her assets.
Mhm. So do you know anything about what people may be saying about Megan? We don't really see her with A-listers. They certainly
Nobody
haven't been on
wants
her
to. I mean,
show. Is that
they
what
had
people
that.
are saying?
Yeah, they had that with Archetypes, where she was able to get some really big names to come on that show. And then
Mhm.
now, I mean, what has there been like a good guest that's come out of Confessions of a Female Founder?
No, not so
No,
far.
I don't think,
No.
even when it came to her with Love Megan, she
Yeah.
had, the best she got was, Mindy Kaling, and even then, you can just tell the awkward chemistry that they have because she had like, Mindy Kaling is not her real friend, they're Hollywood friends, and Mindy
Mhm.
Kaling was doing her a favor essentially by going on
Right.
her show.
So I don't know that Mindy will want to still be involved with Megan because I think a lot has come out from her being on Megan's show, like the interview, the Spotify and the
Yeah.
Netflix show. And when she's gone out to promote her own, people are asking her about Megan. And I'm sure
Yep.
she's probably thinking, why in the world did I start hanging out with this woman or do her shows? Like, I'm sure she's regretting it now because it's all people really want to know about her, and how she feels about Megan. I think it
Yeah.
has taken away from her own stardom in a small way. You
Yeah. No,
think?
for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's very interesting, and I'm happy to hear you say what you're saying about Megan's future because I know how I feel, and I'm wondering if other people feel that way, and I'm glad to hear that you're feeling the same way too. So it's just like what I say, like, okay, we want to see what else you're going to do. I mean, I can't see you getting the success you really are trying to find in Hollywood because everything has been a flop, and it's almost
Yeah.
becoming embarrassing. Like you're part of the royal family. This is ridiculous now, you know? So we'll have to wait and see what happens, Zach, right? We'll have to
I
wait and
mean,
see.
I can see one day her and Harry doing a reality show
You
and
think
just
that
being
will
like,
happen? Because I know
woman,
Netflix wants that to happen.
I'm sure they will. I mean, I think that's the only thing they could likely have some sort of success in because people with reality TV, people love to watch a train wreck, right? Look at
Right.
Alec Baldwin and Hilaria. Like everyone's, laughing at them, So I think they likely will head once they've burned through all of their other resources, I can see them doing a reality show. I can see,
Mm-hmm.
or the flip side, I can see her leaving Harry and
Yep.
writing a divorce book and turning her brand into surviving divorce and surviving the royal family.
I think that's the next move because I think the more flops she has, she's going to have to do something that's going to get her the money she's trying to make. That's the only way for her at this point, I believe. So,
Yeah.
wow.
And I think she'll likely do like Leah Remini when she turned on Scientology, or Holly
Hmm.
Madison when she turned on the Playboy, and then they started hosting these documentary series where they were
Yep.
investigating and going into the history of Playboy or the history of Scientology and talking to survivors. And
Yeah.
so I think Megan will probably, if and when she ends up leaving Harry, she'll write a divorce book and then she'll turn her brand into exposing the or exposing the
Yep.
royal culture.
That we're going to call it right now, Zach. You and me, we're going to call that is what is going to happen
I
because
can
she's
see
going
that.
to need to make the money, and that's where it's going to lead to. And no doubt, that's what I believe is going to happen because we already know that she
Yeah.
did get busted with talking about a divorce book, going around shopping a divorce book like that. That
Yep.
actually came out, right? So
Yep.
yeah, we're on track. We're on track with that. Okay. All right, Zach. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on my channel. I appreciate you being
Thank you for
here.
having
Everyone,
me.
please subscribe to Zach Peter. Here's his YouTube channel, and they can find you where else? Can you?
YouTube, my podcast is No Filter with Zach Peter, so you can listen or watch that. It streams on YouTube, so you can catch it there. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for joining me today, Zach. I appreciate having you on. Thank
Thank you so
you.
much for having me.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so there you have it, everybody. We had Zach Peter on, and he gave us some serious information about those in the world of Hollywood. And I think he is right on with Megan. Look at this. Look at this. Y'all, look at this. Look at this hot mess. Well, why y'all think he's doing this right now? Why y'all think? Because I'm talking to you. That's the only reason why he's doing this. Otherwise he would not be thinking about me. But he wants to be on camera. Okay, he knows what he's like. You're talking to people. Who are you talking to? He wants to be there. He wants to all be in my face all the time when I'm talking. He really is understanding this as I think a job now. Okay, it's a job for him. Thank you, Lizzie B, for your super sticker, and to Lizzie for also gifting. She gifted some memberships, 10 memberships. Oh my goodness, 10. Thank you, Lizzie. Yeah, so it's I think it's very interesting. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk to you all about today was there is this possibility. So I'm sure we all have heard that it could be that the future king, uh, Prince William, when he becomes when he becomes king, he may end up stripping the the titles of Harry and Meghan. And I think that is something that is very likely to happen because let me just give y'all a little bit of info that I heard. Okay. I heard that, and maybe you've heard this as well, that there have already been things moving quietly behind the scenes with Parliament around stripping of these titles. It's already started to happen. Okay. And think about it. It makes so much sense because there is no way Harry is ever going to be able to go back to his family, even without Meghan at this point. I remember talking to Dan about it, and he said the same thing, that there's just no way for Harry to ever go back. And I believe the only other way he could go back is if Meghan turns on the royal family and Harry is left out in the cold to fend for himself. But I think as long as he is with Meghan, or he's got somewhat, even if they end up separating, which I have my suspicions that they are already separated, we just don't know about it, because I'm going to tell you why in a second. But Harry can't be trusted, even if he is no longer with Meghan, because, there could be the likelihood of him, exposing information. He can't be trusted. But I think the only way is if he is actually uh, bullied by Meghan later, if she tries to, like Zach was saying, exposing the royal family. I think that could be what Meghan could do in retaliation if what they're saying is happening around these titles are stripped of Meghan, stripped. That could happen. Now, here's the other thing, and this was a good point. The reason why Harry and Meghan, because I have heard from some credible sources that they're not really even together. But the only reason why we actually see them together now is because of the brand, the money earning potential, the ability to still be in the limelight with money potential making opportunities. And once it is known publicly that they aren't together, that could be a very bad thing for them professionally with their business, with their money earning abilities. So that's why we haven't really heard it. But like what Zach was saying, that Harry may be the kind of man that wants to be told what to do and wants to be led by Meghan and in her claw. He might love it. He might get off on it, like, "Ooh, tell me what else to do, girl. Tell me what else to do." Like Harry could be just like a freak like that. We don't know, like, because it doesn't make sense that he would even still want to be with this woman. Like everything that she's done and how she's treated him, it's so confusing to me that this man has not kicked her to the curb publicly. Like, because his family, I think, will have his back once it gets really bad for him. But they're saying that he can never come back. But William is, yeah, talking. There's a lot of talk about the titles being taken away. And I think at this point, with Meghan and all the damage that she's already doing, it could hurt him. They're also saying that William will not even allow Harry at his coronation. Yeah, it's so bad right now for those behind the scenes in the royal family. So, according to Hugo Vickers, William is unforgiving, and he will not. They're saying that Hugo is saying that he won't strip Harry and Meghan of their titles. It appears, if it appears in vindictive. So there are certain situations where they will not do it, or he may not do it because he doesn't want to be called out as a racist, because we know that's what Meghan's going to do. She's going to call racism as soon as something retaliatory happens. And I think Prince William, when he does become king, will have to do it in a very strategic kind of way, because it will look really bad, and Meghan could have even more like ammunition if it is taken away, and it cannot be good for the royal family. So he has to be extremely strategic about it. So we know it has to come down through Parliament. That's the only way it can happen. And at this point, I think things are actually starting to happen where it will happen. We'll have to wait and see. So, all right, everyone. So look at this hot mess. Look at this hot mess. Look. Look. I'm telling y'all, if I never wanted it to be with this dog, I couldn't. It's just, he is just all in my grill all the time. So remember to follow me on Facebook. I have some videos of my time with Otis. Otis, you just be on me all the time, don't you? He don't do this to nobody else in my family. Nobody. Like my husband is home right now. Go. You want to go out there on the couch, Otis? You want to go out there on the couch? You want to go on the couch here? No, he wants to be here. Okay. Remember to follow me on Facebook. You can see my videos that I post about my life with Otis. It's I just put up some interesting facts about pugs. I'm going to put up some more and talk a little bit more about that. I'm so glad that Tracy Lynn George has now become a YouTube member. Yay, yay, yay. Welcome, welcome. So it's going to be very interesting, and I just can't wait to see what's going to happen with Megan. I think we are looking to see some very unprecedented things happen. It's just not going to be good for Harry either way. Either you stay with this woman, Megan, or you go back to your family. I mean, your life has really taken a dive. I mean, the poll ratings around Harry and Megan are so low right now. They just don't have any way to ever reach what they're trying to do unless they slag off the royal family again. I mean, it really is come to that. But we're gonna have fun watching her try. We know it's all Megan's doing. All right. So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you so much for joining me on my lives and for your super sticker and chats and for following me. And I really, really do appreciate your support. And hopefully this my charity work, please continue to follow it. This is a very, very pivotal year for my charity. Very pivotal year that it may not even be able to continue after this year, unfortunately, but that will be later. I'll talk to you about it. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you next week, Thursday. Okay. Bye. Say goodbye, Otis. Say goodbye. You want to say goodbye? Say bye. Bye, everybody.